on. There we go. That's better. Where is... What the... Okay, hold on a second. View. Docs. I think I screwed this up. No, that's not what I wanted. Come on, where is this thing? I can't find it. Well, it's right there. I don't like this. All right. I have like a beautiful dark theme for OBS. And for some reason, my chat window is like white. I just don't like it. Why is the camera just filming my coffee? Well, like, how am I gonna know if I'm running low on coffee if I don't have it on camera? And how are you all going to be able to tell me to like fill my coffee up if it's not on camera? This is like a requirement. Why am I on the wrong screen? Hold on a second. Aha! I'm on the wrong screen. I'm supposed to be on the starting soon screen. I am professional. The stream has not actually begun. I was on the wrong screen. There. That's better. Yeah, just pretend like that didn't happen. Pretend like we started off on the proper screen because I am a very professional streamer person guy. Yeah. It's not half full. It's like my coffee cup is pretty darn full. Yeah. Did the screen freeze up? No, I just didn't put it on the right one. I just had it on the wrong one. I wasn't thinking. Need more cats? Yeah, well, one cat's right here next to me. I want to eat this. I have a semita. Check this out. So I have a semita, which is a type of, hold on, I'm going to show this to you. Look at this. This right here is what we call a semita. This is a type of bread. I don't know. It was in Central America when I lived down there. It's absolutely delicious. Some of them, sometimes they come like little round ones. This one's like a long john type semita. These things are so amazingly delicious. Just had to show that to you because it's not going to exist for very longer. Oh, what is that? It's pretty soon. It's not going to exist any longer. Ooh, I have where did my coffee cam go? Something's going on here. Mini cam? There we go. Beautiful. All right. Or I can show you the cats. We can do this, or we can do, here's the coffee. I thought the cats would be more interesting. People probably want to see the cats. I'm making you hungry, Dito? Sorry, buddy. No, it's called... That's how you spell it. That's how you spell it. That's interesting. It's coming up different. Okay. No, you're a moron. Go away. Open image in new tab. There we go. Okay, check this out. This right here is what they normally look like. This is the typical way that you're going to see semitas. They're absolutely amazing. Yeah, they're very good. It's not spelled wrong. It's where I'm from. It is spelled with an S. It's semita with an S. I swear to you. I can go get the package from upstairs and prove it to you. Yeah, it's a sweetbread. It's very good. If you're dropping a question, please do hashtag question, all caps. That way my moderators see it and it goes in the spreadsheet. Oh, I gotta pull the spreadsheet up. There we go. We haven't actually begun yet. This is starting soon. A pupuseria? Dude, pupusas are so good, man. Holy crap. Kat, you're getting donuts for breakfast? Why would you tell me that? You should torture me. Torture me, man. That's why I didn't spell it with a C. I spelled it with an S because I am talking about the one with an S. As in Sam. As in semita. Now I have two cats. I have two cats staring at me. You can't really see them. Orange, this is one of them. Yeah, you can see him. Orange, what are you doing down there? He wants food. I guarantee you he's waiting for food. That's totally what he's doing down there. All right, let's get this show on the road. My semita is half eaten. It's not good. All right, welcome to the stream. We have officially begun now, despite the false start, because I am special. So yeah, welcome to the live stream. We are hanging out here. We're gonna be here probably about 3 hours or so, answering questions. You throw me questions. My cat is biting my leg. Squeaky. He's jealous. I'm gonna be answering questions tonight. So just, yeah, there's a rule like hashtag caps, all caps question, so that my moderators can see it and get it in a spreadsheet. And all of your questions are being thrown over to a spreadsheet so that I can see them and not miss any. So there's no need to spam. In fact, my lovely moderators such as Dan and whoever else might be on, I didn't notice, are here with big hammers and swords and wrenches and stuff to beat on any spammers. So let's try not to do that, right? Before we jump over to Q&A, I got a few little special things I want to talk about. Squeaky. He's biting my leg. You're gonna get it. He's already begun. We just started the stream and he wants to bite me. He's jealous is what he is. He wants attention. He's a little jerk. All right, first I want to start off by thanking all of my awesome patrons, members, and subs. In particular, I want to thank the following names in red: Abby C, Beoban, Candy Sora, Clammed Oyster, DM Silver, Drake H, Ed R, Elisa Goose, Elrin, Emmy, Float 71, Goliath Cleric, Hussy Man, Iron Lord 79, John Kenny, Joe M, Joseph H, Kurt Y, Lord Humongous, Mr. T, Nathan, Penguin Butt, Shane C, Sophia W, Son of a Sofa Man, Tactical Tokens, Tim Black, Theta Tag, and Yokai. Thank you so much for the support. I do appreciate it. Next item on the agenda is we are doing a giveaway tonight, and we are going to be pulling the winner for this giveaway tonight at the end of the live stream. And if I forget, someone needs to yell at me and remind me to pull the winner, because I always forget to pull the winner of this. These, oh my gosh, really? My mom is calling me. Why are they calling me? No, you can leave a message. I should mute my phone. My hair salon is calling me. It's like, nah, my appointment is not until next. Why is my hair salon calling me at 6 p.m. on a Friday night? That is so weird. Tactile tokens are my miniature alternative of choice. Very high quality, very inexpensive. So I'm going to be giving away 20 of these to somebody tonight. So yeah, go enter the giveaway. It's good. It's good. And finally, through the month, no, it's going to ring 3 times. They're leaving messages. They called me and they left a message. I should probably put my phone on like vibrate mode. That would be intelligent. That would make me even more professional than I already am. Wow. Throughout the month of November, I am raising money for StackUp.org. They are a charity organization that helps veterans, veteran mental health. They do suicide prevention, lots of really amazing stuff. They drop supply crates to veterans, to people deployed, or just vets that are no longer maybe active or whatever, and giving them games and stuff to help with mental health and all that good stuff. They also like fly vets to conventions, gaming conventions and stuff, like not recently because COVID, but ordinarily they'll be doing that sort of thing. They also have a StackUp program with volunteers that are positioned near bases throughout the world where they can help vets as well. And also they have a suicide prevention hotline where folks can call in and, get help when, they need it. So I am trying to raise $5,000 for these dudes in the month of November. November is military. What is it? It's like military family month. It's something like that. It's got some name that I always forget. So we're trying to do that in November. So if you would like to help support our veterans and mental health and all that good stuff, then there is a link. I'm sure one of the moderators has already dropped it for you, and I do appreciate that. I'm sure our veterans and StackUp also will appreciate any aid you are able to give. So thank you very much. Appreciate it. All right. I have talked a lot about stuff. Should probably get into the questions before they overwhelm me. Goliath Cleric says, how are you? It's been a wild week. I'm doing pretty well right now. Have you found your D4 yet? No. I was thinking about it this morning though. I almost lost another D4. What are your opinions of creating a D&D game that acts like a video game or has video game aspects? I would go play 4th edition. And I think you don't need to create it. It has been created. Actually, what is it? DDO, Dungeons and Dragons Online, is a video game. Dungeons and Dragons video. There have been lots of Dungeons and Dragons video games that have been made. That's just one of them. So yeah, lots of people create. So I don't even know what it means, a D&D game that acts like a video game or has video game aspects. I would not be inclined to do that, more than likely, just my personal opinion, because like if I want to play a video game, I'm probably gonna go play a video game. There are lots of them. Zachary says, do you add additional loot to modules? Sometimes. Or go with only what is already written in? If you do, any tips on balancing that against what is there? Specifically, I'm running Curse of Strahd at the moment. No, the problem with modules is they don't tell you how much loot they're dropping. Like they don't tell you if it's like loot heavy or loot light, whether you should put a little bit more in or take, or they don't give you any guidelines. So you don't know. You don't know when someone designed the module how much loot they're putting in, which is a problem with module design. So you just have to guess. If it feels like it's not enough, maybe give a little bit more. Curse of Strahd, that's like a survival module. There shouldn't be a lot of loot in Curse of Strahd, in my opinion. The lack of loot, the lack of healing potions, the lack of these things is a feature of the module, in my opinion. It's not a bug, it's a feature. Other modules might be a little bit light. It's really hard to tell. You have to probably do some math and compare it with what should be dropping at that level. I don't know, it's kind of annoying. I don't really have any, it's a gut feeling. Most modules probably need a little bit more loot from what I've seen, but I'm not super familiar with all the modules. So that may or may not be true. I just don't know. I can tell you that for the module, for my Kickstarter Into the Fae, one of the things that I am including in all of the adventures is some Dungeon Master notes that explicitly tell you how much loot I put into the adventure. For instance, there are tables in the Dungeon Master Guide where you can roll and get loot. And I list in each adventure how much loot, how many rolls on which tables are included in that adventure, so that the Dungeon Master can know, oh, okay, this is an average amount of loot, or it's not a lot. So I have included that information in my module, the one that I'm publishing, because that's something that I feel is pretty important information for a Dungeon Master to know when they're trying to balance the amount of rewards and loot and all that crap in a module. So yeah. I'm making an Egyptian themed homebrew setting, and I'm wondering what things I need to solidify for my game before I let my players touch it. I have no idea. You'd have to give me, there would be for me to answer that question, two things would have to happen. I would have to research the crap out of Egyptian society, do tons of research, and then I would have to like look at, you would have to give me like at very least a table of contents of everything that you've included in your game and your setting and all that you're doing. And then I would have to do an analysis of like all of the things that I consider should be included in an Egyptian setting, which I'm not even familiar with the culture or anything, you know, and then compare it to yours. So I can't answer your question, but I just told you exactly what you could do to see if there's anything else you need to put into your game. So, yeah, that's all I got. How do you feel about the D&D Dragonlands lawsuit? I have some thoughts on that. The Uber Nerd, thank you so much for the $2 super chat. Rafael Vasquez, thank you so much for the $5 super chat. Really appreciate that. So the Dragonlands lawsuit, here's the thing. What's really interesting about the Dragonlands lawsuit is, there's a clause. So where was that? Let me get my thoughts on this. My gut reaction to this lawsuit is that they're not interested in actually finishing the books. There's nothing in the lawsuit that was filed that does anything to move the idea forward of them being able to finish the books. It doesn't feel like they really care about finishing the books. It really feels like they just want to terminate the contract and get their money. A lot of money, right? That's what it feels like. They just want to terminate it and get their money. My guess, totally conjecture, my guess is that Wizards was asking them to change things in the books that they did not want to change. You know, and they just kind of wanted to kill it or something is my guess on that. And the other thing too is that the way that they were in the lawsuit that they filed, the papers, the motion, whatever, I don't know what the legal term is, they were constantly referencing all of the recent negative publicity that Wizards had been going through, and they were shining a spotlight on all of that sort of stuff almost in a way to like make that the issue, that somehow that had to do with the fact that Wizards then somehow was deciding to like, you know, not refuse to give any feedback on their future drafts or anything like that, any commentary on that. It almost feels like the purpose of the lawsuit is to make Wizards settle out of court. That seems like the whole so Wizards is getting tons of negative publicity. They've already gotten lots of negative publicity over these issues, and now they're going to get more negative publicity because of this lawsuit. And so many big companies, Wizards isn't like a super big company, but many companies, almost all companies hate negative publicity, and they will go to great lengths to like quash negative publicity. So my suspicion, my gut is that part of the purpose of filing this is to generate more negative publicity for Wizards that will put pressure on them to settle this out of court. So, and there were some weird things about that lawsuit. I was talking to a dude who was telling me that there were some omissions in their lawsuit that they put forth that were very weird. There were some specific things omitted from there that you wouldn't expect to be omitted from the lawsuit. So my gut tells me something fishy is going on. We obviously we haven't heard both sides of the story. I don't know if Wizards has given an official response yet. When somebody files that motion or lawsuit or whatever, you know, the other party has like 14 days or something to deliver a response, something like that. I'm not a lawyer. I just, you know, whatever. So I don't even know if Wizards has given an official response yet, you know, and so far all I know is like one side of the story, and the one side of the story that I'm hearing, it feels a little weird. You know, my spider senses are like, okay, something else is here. Something else is going on. What's the real story? Because you never really know. You never can actually make any determination about like what's going on until both sides have told you the story, you know? And it feels like the way this is being set up as a publicity, not a publicity thing, but a public relations nightmare or, you know, thing, is we might not hear the other side of the story. I don't know, because they might just be quick to settle and just kind of like quiet it down and stuff. So I don't know, who knows? So we'll see what we find out. Something tells me there's more to this than we know so far. I need a new spider sense. Yeah, I don't know. Does anybody know? Has Wizards said anything about that? Have they delivered any official response? Does anybody know? To my knowledge, I haven't seen anything. I haven't heard anything, but I do live under a rock. Anybody in chat have any idea? Relying on chat here. I could go to Google too. I don't know if that's a rabbit hole though, or if I would actually find something. You don't think they have? Okay. They haven't? Okay, cool. Cool. All right, thanks. I didn't think they had. Yeah, they're probably going to be very, very quiet. They kind of have to be, because they have to check with their lawyers, and then they have to give a corporate response. You know, they can't just say stuff, because then they can get in trouble. They have to like actually talk with their legal people, come up with a prepared statement. You know, that's the way companies work. That's the way it all works. In the meantime, right, the rumor mill and everything is just churning it up, making Wizards look bad. And we have no idea. We don't know what the whole story is, you know. All we know is the one side that we're hearing. Sonic Expert says, running a homebrew game and we're at 9th level, thinking of doing an Underdark Mind Flayer arc, but it might totally change the direction or tone. Is this a bad idea? I have no idea. Like, are you all enjoying the current game? If you are, then doing something that might change everything might be a bad idea. But, you know, it might be something that everybody enjoys. There's no way of predicting the future. And I don't have enough information to be able to tell you if that's a bad idea or not. I think I just said idea. Instead of idea, I just said idea. Oh wow, that's not good. What would you do if someone ran the Druid Poly Pixies combo? I would roleplay the Pixies. I would roleplay the Pixies. And we would probably assume that the Pixies have never seen Tyrannosaurus Rexes in their lives, nor heard of them, and therefore can't polymorph you into T-Rexes. My cat agrees. That's so metagamey. It's the most metagamey horse crap in the world. Thank you. Okay, I'm done. If you make homebrew subclasses or races, where do you get your inspiration? I don't. So, yeah, I don't. Okay, now my phone is being turned on quiet mode. Gotta be kidding. It's beeping at me. It's so annoying. Shut up. Shut up. Shut up. What are you creating for the creation on Twitch? We're not going to Twitch tonight. We're just staying on YouTube. We're not going to create anything tonight. Tonight is just going to be Q&A. You're running a 5e version of Kingmaker, which is heavy hex crawl. The first 1 to 8 levels. Ah! 1 to 8 levels of hex crawling. Ah! Any recommendation on making the hex crawling more fun? Yeah, don't do a hex crawl. Just design normal adventures and plot hooks. There you go. like 1 to 8 levels could take you like a year or 2 years. So, okay, Luke, I have a group of friends and we all hate basketball. Any idea? But we love football. Any ideas for how to make basketball more fun? Yeah, go play football. So if you guys don't like hex crawling and it's boring and it's not fun for you, then don't do it. Do you run the type of you? That's it. Come here. Come here. This is Squeaky. He has been chewing on my leg, and now he's going on camera. I just want you all to see. This is a cat that has been chewing on me for like 20 minutes now. There. He doesn't like being picked up. So picking him up is his punishment for chewing on me. He's over there now. I'm sure he'll be back. If you guys don't have fun with hex crawling, then don't do hex crawling. Yeah, I would try to convert that. I would run that. I would run that as a different game if it's not fun. I don't know. I don't do hex crawling. I've never done hex crawling, so I don't. I'm vaguely aware of what it is. But if it's not fun, don't do it. I would do something else. Would you recommend be ready in a homebrew setting before you start running test players through it? Just the local area. You need to know like some basic. He's back already. You need to know some basic ideas about the local area. The name of the town, who the mayor is, if there's a police force, the name of a tavern, some basic places where they can buy stuff. That's probably a good start. Maybe like a little bit of the surrounding area if there's a dungeon nearby or something. Maybe the name of the forest to the north. Just some very basic stuff. You don't need a whole lot to get going. And then the rest you just make up as you go if you need to. I don't do homebrew campaign settings very often. It seems like a lot of work with very little payoff for me personally as a dungeon master. So I use pre-made stuff. But I know lots of people love making homebrew settings. So if you like it, that's cool. It's not my thing. It's way too much work. And most of the time when I play in somebody else's homebrew setting, it's not super fun. Like it's like the adventures are what I care about as a player. The homebrew setting is just like it barely comes up. And sometimes they make changes and do weird stuff that's not, I don't know. I'm not a player very often though, so it's possible I just haven't experienced really awesome homebrew settings. Will you be reviewing things from Tasha when it comes out? It mentions a section in there about trap creation, so it's more than just things for characters in there. Well, yeah. Tasha's Cauldron of Everything is going to be a grab bag of tons of different stuff for players and dungeon masters, because Wizards wants to sell books to both groups. You know, they don't want to just make a group book for dungeon masters because you don't sell as many. You know, you make a book for both players and dungeon masters, you're going to make a lot more money. So yeah, there's going to be a grab bag of different stuff. What I'm planning on doing when it comes out is just on live stream, probably just doing like a flip through reaction type thing and talking about it. We'll probably do an entire live stream, 3 hours or so, just looking at it. So I just placed my pre-order today for it. I always get the alternate covers because the alternate covers are so amazing. So I think it comes out November 13th or something. So once I get it in my hands, I'll just put it on a live stream and we'll look at it. I'm not going to do an actual video on YouTube. The problem with putting an actual video on YouTube is that other people get the books way before I do. So they get them out there first, and then I put a video out late and it doesn't do very well, and so I'll probably just do it on live stream. So if you're interested in like hearing my thoughts on it, we can just do it on live stream. That's probably what we'll do. Oh my gosh, I'm tons of questions here. What is your most... No. How do you avoid hampering the flow of a session if you don't know all the rules by heart? So you got two options. One, learn the rules better. There are some rules that just come up all the time. Like, if you know the rules about how skill checks work, persuasion checks, insight checks, stealth checks, if you know the rules about skill checks and how they work, that covers probably 60 to 70% of the game. Now, for some groups that don't do combat, that can cover 90% or more of the game. Just the little tiny subset of rules. So if you learn that, you're pretty much good to go. If you learn the rules on combat, well then between skill checks and combat rules, you probably have about 95% of the game covered, and then occasionally you might have to look something up. So learning the rules isn't actually that hard. It's the rules that come up most frequently are not difficult to learn, and once you've run the game just a tiny bit, you're gonna, these things, because you run a game session for 4 hours and you're constantly using the same rules, and you have a couple combats, you have 3 combats, so you're using the combat rules, and you're using the skill, you learn them, and then you use them all the time, and they're just gonna get ingrained in your memory. And that's what improves the flow of the game. You just learn them and they become second nature to you. Now, the other way, if you don't want to stop and look up a rule, is you can make a ruling on the fly. The problem with rulings on the fly, of course, is that you're just going to use your gut and make a ruling, and it may or may not be a good ruling, because you're just kind of making something up on the fly. You might have players that the reason I follow the rules and try as much as possible not to make things up on the fly is that it's fair and it's balanced, because it's in the rules. Like, if a player wants to argue with me about like a rule, well then generally speaking, you can just look at the rule and interpret it and be like, well, this is what the rule means and says. There you go. But if it's just a ruling that I make, then it opens the door much wider for players to dispute that and not want. Now, of course, you can just say, well, the dungeon master, you know, oops, I didn't actually mean to hit my desk. The dungeon master is always right, therefore be quiet. I don't like doing that. I like to be more fair, and I like to get buy-in from my players when I make rulings. Many times when I make rulings, I ask my players, I have a conversation with them and be like, hey, what do you guys think? This is what I'm thinking, what do you think? And we have a conversation, and then we come to an agreement on something, usually, you know. But following the rules is the best. It's the easiest thing to do. So that's I would recommend just doing that, learning them and following them. Yeah, if you do not follow the rules, what's the point in getting the books? Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I'm a rules guy. I just like following the rules. It makes everybody's life easier. It makes everybody's life easier. How do you describe spellcaster actions to make them more interesting and varied? I don't know. I just do it. Usually I just say something like he begins gesturing and casting a spell, and then I describe the effect of the spell. A little bead flies towards you and then explodes in a massive gout of flames. That's really about it. I don't do a whole lot more than that. That is pretty sufficient. You got a few sentences to describe it, you're done, move on. If you go too much more than that, if you sit there and try to like describe super in depth every little thing that happens, that gets old, that gets too much. You want to have just a little bit of description so that you're not just rolling dice and doing math, But if you go too far, then everything bogs down because the dungeon master, or it could be a player, wants to describe, oh wow, he tightens the grip on his sword and then he pulls it back over his shoulder and he looks at you with this look of menace and rage, and then gathering within him all of his anger, all of his frustrations, he swings that sword at you, and you can see that sword coming at you almost as though in slow motion, just slicing towards you. You can see the molecules of air splitting apart as it comes at you, and then just as it's about to hit you, you bring your shield up in an act of desperation, deflecting it aside, and you can see a sliver of wood sliced off as that sword just barely misses your face. And then the swordsman, having missed you, draws the weapon back, and you can see even more rage and anger gathering within him, storm clouds in his eyes as he glares at you. You see, like, okay, great. That was very descriptive, but a little too much. You know, you can't do that. I mean, it might be like, woo, but no, it's gonna get old very fast. Exactly, you're gonna fall asleep if I do that every single time I describe something, you know? You just can't do that. Can you animate that description? Sure, dude. Would you consider the Dungeon Master to be an unknown god of the D&D universe? No, he is an adjudicator. He runs the game. He's a facilitator of the game. He is an adjudicator of rules. And if you do, would you ever consider making a cult dedicated to the Dungeon Master? No, never. That is a little bit not gonna happen. No, that's weird. Never would do that. like yeah, I don't need that. No, hard no. Grim Goblin says, how to handle a player asking to withhold leveling up. Well, that is very interesting. I've never had a player not want to take a level. My party Paladin Warlock cannot decide on an oath so much she asks me to withhold leveling until she does. Oh! Okay. I'm trying not to make any comments about indecisive players, considering I did a video on that not too recently. Actually, quite recently. What I would do in this situation is I would tell her, take your level, please. When you decide what your oath is, just write it on your character sheet. Not a big deal. And then let's just keep playing. That's what I would do. What campaign setting lore would you say you've done the most of your campaigns in? Forgotten Realms. 100% Forgotten Realms. However, I tell you this, Eberron is so good. Any campaign I start up in the future, I almost guarantee you it will be set in Eberron. Eberron is so much better than Forgotten Realms. If you had any advice for someone making an RPG from scratch or on a specific intellectual property, could you please share it? So you want to use somebody else. So what you're saying is that using somebody else's intellectual property, you want to make an RPG from scratch. I don't know exactly how you do that. Like, if somebody has intellectual property, that means that it's not from scratch. If you're gonna make an RPG from scratch, then you wouldn't be using somebody else's IP. Or an SRD, for instance, that they released and say that you can use, you may use. So yeah, I don't know. I don't think I have any advice for you. I've never made an RPG from scratch. All I know is this. There are so many RPGs out there. And there are many very talented people making these things. I don't think I would want to toss my hat into that competition, into that ring. Like, unless I were incredibly talented and I had very good reason, lots of feedback saying
saying so, and not just like friends and family being like, yay. I would only want to toss my hat in that ring if I were really good. Really good. And the only way if I knew I was really good at making an RPG probably is if I'd already done it and I'd already had people playing it. You know, I don't know. That's like a catch-22 type of thing. I don't have any advice. All I know is that it seems like that would be some fierce competition right there with some lots of talented people, established companies and stuff like that. So if you're going to do that, I would say that you probably need to have a drive and a passion inside you to do that, that regardless of whether you reach success, you feel like you have to do it. You're compelled to do it regardless of the odds, regardless of any setbacks you might have. Because I feel like that's a really tough thing to get into potentially, you know, so you got to have some sort of inner drive for that sort of thing, I feel. And possibly a massive Kickstarter. Yeah, maybe. To fund it. Yeah. But a lot of Kickstarters, you got to have it ready to go almost before you even do it. Which defeats the purpose of the Kickstarter, but okay. That's just what it's turning into. How to improvise towns? You just make crap up, dude. Okay. Improvisation relies on two things, I feel. One, experience and knowledge of different things. The more towns you have run, the more towns you have read about, the more towns you have created, the more towns you know about, then when they go to a town that you've never been thought of before, you will be able to fall back on your knowledge of towns in general to create a town on the fly. So that preparation, that experience prepares you to improvise. Second of all, being able to improvise is also a question of experience with improvisation. The more you improvise, the more you make crap up, the better you're going to get at it as well. So those are two things there. One, you can do something, both of those things, you could take improv classes if you want. You could intentionally, I've done this in my games, intentionally not prepare something because you wanted to practice your improv. I have intentionally not prepared something that I knew my players were going there because I wanted to practice my improvisation. So that's something you could do as well. You get comfortable with it. Part of the problem with improv as well is you get terrified of it, you get afraid of it, you get nervous about it, you get anxious about it, and when that happens, your brain shuts down, and your ability to improv decreases. So part of the way to be successful with improv is getting comfortable with it, so that you're not all worried or anxious or something, and you're just calm and you're just like, oh, I'm gonna make crap up, no big deal. And that's having that relaxed attitude is probably going to make it easier for you than if you're all like, ugh, you know. What would it take to create a successful long-term campaign? There's only one thing required to create a successful long-term campaign. The main thing is a fun game that people want to keep coming back to. That's the main thing. If you can run a fun game that your players love, they're probably going to do everything in their power to stay in your game. Which means you're going to have less of this, oh, my schedule is all busy and stuff and I don't think I can play anymore. Well, you know what? Dude, if there is a D&D game going on or anything going on that you are having a blast doing, you're going to work your butt off to make sure you're going to cut other things out of your life before you cut out D&D. So running a fun game is huge for long-term campaign success. Many times when games fizzle out, implode, or players lose interest, it's because they're not having fun, it's not worth it anymore, and they get out of there. So running a fun game is the number one thing, in my opinion. Having a fun game is going to reduce your turnover substantially. You're still gonna have turnover though, because it's inevitable. First of all, if the dude moves to California, and assuming we're playing in person, he's not gonna be there anymore, right? If the dude gets a new job and the schedule is totally different and he can no longer make that time, he's not gonna be there anymore. So the next big thing to keeping a campaign going long term is to get replacement players. When a current player can no longer play, you can't just be like, oh, we're down to 4, and then a few months goes by, 6 months, oh, we're down to 3. You know, you just keep sitting there, you're just like, oh no. And then then oh no, we're down to 2. If you just your game is dying. When players leave, you got to find new players, which sometimes means, yo, go talk to people you don't know, post something at your game shop, go on Reddit, LFG, find new players. They don't have to be in your friend groups. In fact, sometimes players that aren't in your friend groups are better players than friends. They may not be your friends, but see, sometimes friends, they come to play in your D&D games because they're your friends. They don't care about D&D. They're there to be social. These are the players that will play with you for 2 years and still not understand how to make an attack roll because they're not there to play D&D. They're not there. They're there to be social and hang out with you. So many times, finding people who aren't your friends to begin with and just want to play D&D, those sometimes will be the players that stick with you the longest because they're there to play D&D, yo. And then you become friends, and that's really cool. So and then your friend group expands, and you meet more people, and you have more friends, and D&D becomes that thing that joins you together in your friendship, and that's really cool. Almost all of my players were not friends; they were strangers. I prefer people I don't know when I play D&D. I do too. I absolutely do too. The problem with inviting friends is that they're your friends. They might not want to play D&D and they just say yes because they're your friends, And then what do you do when that friend is the problem player? What's that conversation look like? Right? And then if you have to remove them from your group, where does your friendship stand? Like, that is rough. If it's a stranger or somebody that I just invited and they've been there a few game sessions and it's like, nah, this isn't gonna work, get them out of there. It's not hard. But your friend or a significant other, good luck. Hit the snooze. Thank you for $3 super chat, dude. Really appreciate that. Oh, by the way, I want to plug our StackUp. I'm trying to raise some money for StackUp.org in the month of November. These guys help our veterans through gaming. They're helping veterans with their mental health stuff. They're helping them with suicide prevention. Lots of really cool stuff. So there's a link there that Dan is trying to post. If you want to donate to these dudes, they are a charity. I really appreciate it. Appreciate all support. We can help. I'm trying to hit 5,000. And what are we currently at? It looks like we're at a little over 700. So what is that? We're about 15% of the way there. That's pretty good. So trying to get that to 5,000 by the end of November. And we got a good start on us already. It's very, very pretty. Very, very pretty. Wow, there are so many questions in the spreadsheet. Holy crap. Okay. Captain Giggle says, new question, how to set up or maintain the feeling of gradually growing dread in a longer campaign setting? Well, first of all, you should go watch my Curse of Strahd games that I'm running for my players. I have a second YouTube channel the DM Lair streams where all of my Curse of Strahd games get posted over there. And I'm constantly putting things in the game that cause like horror and fear and stuff like that. You would create dread the same way at a macro level as you would at a micro level. You do it in different ways, perhaps. You might hear rumors of some event that's happening. You might hear rumors of a town that disappeared. You might hear rumors of monsters in the night or strange things in the night. You might hear something, the town over that way has children going missing and you don't know what's happening with them. Things like that. You just, these little tiny events that happen every so often. It doesn't have to directly intersect with the players. It doesn't have to be something they're even going to be doing. They could overhear it in a tavern. They might find some letters, some books. They might find an empty house with nobody in it. So you have to sprinkle things like that, you know, and ideally you're going to have those things coordinate and point kind of toward whatever that thing you're aiming for is. It might be your big bad or something like that. When a session can't occur, do you reschedule the game? Never. I do not reschedule games ever. Or simply wait until the next scheduled session. I wait until the next scheduled session every single time, always. Rescheduling games, well, first of all, if you only ever play when everybody can make it and you just keep rescheduling when somebody can't make it, you run into what I call the scheduling spiral of death. Game scheduling is the number one thing that causes games to fall apart. I have done polls, and by far and large, scheduling conflicts is the number one thing that causes games to fall apart, fizzle out, and die. Because some folks only play D&D when all of the players can make it. And depending upon your players and their schedules, that can be a recipe for disaster. It might work okay. There are lots of people that do that. It works just fine. Other groups, that's the nail in the coffin and it's over. So I don't reschedule my game sessions. We either play or we don't, and then it's the next scheduled one. Most of my preference for timing on D&D games is every 2 weeks. I feel like every 2 weeks is the golden spot for me as a dungeon master, and I think for players as well. And so if we can't make this one game session, then if for whatever reason, maybe only 2 players can make it, and that's not enough. We just don't have it. Or if I can't do it, we just don't have it. And then we go to the next one. It's easier that way. It's so much easier. Trying to coordinate, like, once you have an established time that repeats, you know, a reoccurring time, let's say it's every other Saturday at 4 p.m. Once you have that established, it's butter. Don't mess with that crap. You know, trying to reschedule and find a time that works for everybody, oh, it's such a pain in the butt. I do not want that work. I don't need that work. We're just gonna skip it and move on. It's all right. We'll just do it next time. Mario, thank you, sir, for the $5. I appreciate that, dude. You are very welcome. Says thank you for the content. Absolutely, dude. Happy to make content. I'm really hungry too. I'm staring at this semita. I'm staring at this semita that I just want to take a big bite out of it, man. Oh, jeez. Grim Goblin says, what do you think of when someone cannot make the game session running a flashback game? One PC's origin story with rest as new characters as a one shot. I don't know what that means. No, I'm not sure what you're asking. When somebody can't make a game session, the game just continues. It depends on the group. Some of my groups are comfortable with another player running their character. Like my Sword Coast Guard group, those guys are like, whatever, somebody else can run my character, I don't care. The game goes on. My Ancient Dragon group, they prefer that other people don't run their characters. And so when the player is not there, we have an ongoing joke. Tentacles come from somewhere, grab the character's PC, the player's PC, drag the PC away, and then the group continues. And then the next game session, when that player comes back, the tentacles reappear, regurgitate out that player's PC, and then they keep playing the game. That's like our ongoing little hand wave so that we don't have to spend dumb amounts of time coming up with some role play in-game justification for why their character's not there. Like, I don't, like, who cares? Just keep playing the game, man. So yeah, we do that. What was the question? Did I answer the question? So if you want to do something special when a player can't make it or something, you're welcome to. I'm not saying don't. I guess I'm just saying this is what I do. You know what I mean? But that doesn't mean you can't do something else, and it could be perfectly fine and fun. You know, I know there are some groups when a player can't make it, they just play board games or something because they don't want to play D&D without everybody there. You know, so there's nothing wrong with that. Obviously, it's just a different way of approaching things. Do I have any experience with virtual tabletops? Yes. Roll20. Use D&D Beyond or go for VTT such as Fantasy. I use D&D Beyond, and I use a Chrome extension plugin called Beyond 20, I believe, which what that does is anything you roll in D&D Beyond goes over to Roll20. And so we have everything in D&D Beyond, character sheets, all the content, and then they roll in D&D Beyond, and then all of the rolls and everything go over into Roll20, which I use Roll20 almost exclusively for the maps. It's really all it's good for, in my opinion. Just having that virtual tabletop. But the content I purchase in D&D Beyond. Oh geez, I gotta start. Luke, did you know there's a company that's making a tabletop RPG D&D style, but is Power Rangers? What is your opinion on this? I think I have heard about that. I think somebody mentioned that before. I mean, I'm not personally a fan of Power Rangers, but I'm sure there are people that love Power Rangers. So you're gonna do a little crossover thing where it's D&D with Power Rangers. Okay, cool. I'm sure there are gonna be some people that enjoy that and have fun with it. Rock and roll. You know, I personally would not want to play that, but that's just me. I'm one person with one man's opinions. So. Is getting ideas from other DMs online okay? Yeah, I think there's nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I will routinely ping. What I do is when I need help with something that I'm trying to think of, I will just throw something out of my community tab. Like recently, what was I doing? I was trying to, lingering injuries. I wanted ideas for lingering injuries. And I threw something out of my community tab and was just like, hey, what are your guys' ideas for lingering injuries? Just to get some other ideas. Because creativity is hard. Sometimes you need some other ideas to get the ball rolling or something. Or you might have your own ideas, but it feels like, I need a few more. And so you can get some more ideas. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. It is important to learn how to do it yourself though, too. Like, it is important for you to learn how to create your own adventure, for you to be able to do it, for you to solve your own problems. Like, that's important. So if you're only ever getting ideas and information and help from other people and you never are able to do it yourself, that's a crutch, and that could be a problem. Because but from time to time, pinging other people when you just need a little bit of help, I think everybody needs that from time to time. Oh my goodness, what is this? Hey Luke, do you have any fun ideas or examples of gambling games for PCs to play in a tavern? Do you know how I run gambling games in D&D? We just roll some dice and the dice determine it. Okay, you're gonna do a gambling game. Okay, that's a skill check. That's a skill challenge. All right, we're gonna say that's probably gonna be some deception, sleight of hand, and maybe one skill that you as a player want to use and can justify its use of. And then we'll do 3 skill checks. I will set a difficulty class. Let's say it's 15. And if you succeed on all 3 of them, you have overwhelming success. If you succeed on 2 of them, it's like, you did okay. If you only succeed on 1 of them, then you had some measure of failure, but not horrible. Nothing horrible happens. If you fail all 3 of them, then probably there's going to be some serious consequences, like you got caught cheating or something, and they drag you outside, and you got a group of 3 guys around you about to pound on you. I would turn that into a skill challenge. I do personally, just a personal opinion, when I get around the game table to play D&D, I want to play D&D. I don't want to play another game. Just because we went to a tavern, and somebody's playing poker around the tavern table does not mean that I want to get out a deck of playing cards and play poker. I didn't come to D&D session to play poker or any other game that you might actually pull out at the game table. I came to D&D to play D&D. So if my character is playing poker, let's resolve that through conversation, through role playing maybe, or through dice rolls. Let's not resolve it through actually playing poker. So that's my personal opinion on it. Just my take. In your opinion, what's a good time length for a game session? I know that most game sessions are about 4 hours. I would have a really hard time. So I do have one game that lasts an hour and a half, and it's not a lot of time. 4 hours I consider to be a minimum, a good number for a game session. However, what do we currently play? My Curse of Strahd game goes from 4 to 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We go for like 5 hours. That's a good amount of time. We used to play for 8 hours, and that was far too much. And then we dropped it down to 5 hours. 5 hours is a number that I like a lot. I feel like with 5 hours, we can get a good amount of stuff done, but we're not like exhausted and drained by the end of it. So for me and my groups, I feel like I like 5 hours, but only one of my groups does 5 hours. One of them does 4 hours. Another one does 4 hours. And then my other one does an hour and a half sessions every week, which is, you can't really get anything done in an hour and a half. By the time you get started up with the recap, by the time you settle in, by the time you're actually doing something, an hour and a half is like nothing, you know? 12 hours. Yeah, 12 hours. That'd be fun. Five hours is just the perfect amount of time to create fear of bathrooms, leaving the players plenty drained. That is very true, dude. It's very true. Your group plays until we hit a good stopping point, and then we feel like we want to keep playing when we keep playing. Yeah. My group, we're all like, we play on Sunday. Like, well, it depends. But some of my groups have very fixed amounts of time. They all have pretty fixed amounts of time. Yeah. Did 18 once? Oh, that's crazy, dude. Luke counts to 6 on his fingers, still says 5. A 13-hour game session? That's nuts. I remember when I was in high school. Okay. I was in high school. And I remember this one time, my friends and I, we were playing D&D, and we played like all night long, like until early in the morning. And they got through the entire adventure, right? And I'm like, okay, it's like, I don't know, 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, I don't know. And I'm like, okay, that's it, guys. You know, that's it. And then we went to bed, you know, and then we got up the next morning. We had a sleepover, I think, is what we were doing. We got up the next morning, and then they were like, okay, let's play some D&D. And I was like, I didn't prepare anything. I don't, you know, and they're just like, come on, Luke, just go make something. And so literally, like, on not much sleep at all, I went and I made an adventure for them to go on, and then we played D&D again, you know. So I don't have any more details beyond that for you, but I remember doing that. What's your stance on homebrew signature magic items, growing weapons? I mean, I guess it could be fun to have a weapon that just keeps growing and getting more powerful the longer you have it, or with your own levels. I suppose that it's like, but is it going to be more fun to find more weapons and different weapons and stuff? I don't know. What would be more enjoyable? To have a weapon that you get that continues to grow with you, or I don't know. It's a question of what would be more fun for the players, what would be more enjoyable for the players. Maybe a little bit of both would be fun and enjoyable. I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with a magic weapon that's going to get more powerful the longer you have it. There's nothing wrong with that. You know, I think I view things like that. What goes through my mind is what's going to be the most enjoyable game experience for my players? What are they going to enjoy the most? If they get magic weapons that grow with them, that means that they won't be getting any other ones because these ones are getting more powerful. So would they like that, or would they feel like they'd rather just get drops of them? I don't know. I'm not sure how they would feel. As a DM, how often do you give the wizard in the party spell scrolls or spell books? As often as I remember. I try to throw a few spell scrolls in like every other adventure, maybe. Occasionally they'll get an actual spell book, but it's not super often. And the reason it's not super often is that in 5th edition, gold is in abundance. Most games, if you're rolling, especially if you're rolling on the random loot tables in the Dungeon Master Guide, most games have an overabundance of gold, and players have no idea what to spend it on. Once you get to like level 8 and beyond, it's like, what are we going to spend all this money on? Your wizard needs new spells. Your wizard can make scrolls that could help you and stuff like that. So I drop them, you know, from time to time, but I also do it seldomly enough that the expectation is the wizard is going to be spending gold on getting new spells for their spellbook as well. Andrew says my players adopted a mute 10-year-old NPC who is secretly the child of the Raven Queen, and I'm having trouble foreshadowing or giving hints as to the truth. Help, please. What is your goal in foreshadowing? Like, what is your goal in foreshadowing? Like, what are you trying to accomplish? Why is that even important? Are you trying to do something? I would ask, are you trying to do something with that child who's of the Raven Queen? I mean, you could do things like, you know, the child has some markings on her. We'll go with her. The child has some markings on her that look like ravens. The child wakes up every so often having had nightmares or dreams that feature like a woman decked in a gown of raven feathers. I don't know, I'm just brainstorming here. The child has hallucinations of ravens flying all over the place, or ravens attacking them or something. I don't know. And then the players would learn about these things and start to ask, what the heck is going on with this kid? You know, you have to just drop little things, you know, that might point to that somehow. There might be another NPC that comes who's like some sort of prophet or soothsayer that gives some information that points at it. Send help. In an arc from levels 1 to 5 where the bad guy is a night hag, CR5, and the players are mainly in a forest, what can I do until they reach level 5? Just random forest encounters look repetitive. Yeah, they are. That would be lame. It would feel like 4 levels of random encounters. It's like,
You need to create adventures. The Night Hag is an adventure. You need to just create adventures. What are they going to do at level 1? Create an adventure. There's a cave system they got to go explore. What are they going to do at level 2? Well, there are a couple more adventures. I don't know. There's some underground dungeons or complexes. There's an old ruins of a castle. Something they got to go do over there. They got to go into the catacombs beneath the castle to do something. The solution is to create adventures that take place in that forest. And that's what they do from levels 1 to 5. Just like any other game that you would run or I would run. You create adventures for them to go on. Tiak says, what do you do when your dungeon master, who's good as a dungeon master and has become friends with you, starts playing in a game with you and you find them over describing everything they do and somewhat hog glory? That is what dungeon masters, that is very easy for dungeon masters to do. I find myself very inclined to do the same thing. And I need to, when I am a player, one of the biggest things that I constantly have in my head is Luke, shut up. Luke, shut up. Luke, shut up. Luke, let everybody else play. Luke, shut up. Luke, shut up. Dungeon masters who are players are not always good players. Dungeon masters can be great dungeon masters, but horrible players. I would not consider myself to be an extremely good player. And I also don't have much fun being a player. It's very boring to me. I would much rather run the game than be a player in a game any day of the week. So yeah, what was your question? What would you do? What would you do? You got to talk to him. You got to be like, yo, dude. I mean, you are going to say this diplomatically. I'm going to say this bluntly because whatever. I'm not actually doing it. You got to be like, yo, dude, you're stealing all the glory. You're stealing the limelight. You're not letting everybody else play the game. You need to be quiet. You need to stop stealing all the sunshine from everybody else. Let everybody else's trees grow up tall too, dude. You know, so kind of, you got to be quiet, buddy. And all of this flowery description and stuff, like, can we tone it down a little bit? Like, you got to have that conversation. You just got to tell them how you feel and ask them to change. You know, you got to give them feedback. It's either you talk to them and give them feedback, or you deal with it. What are you gonna do? Talk, give feedback, or you deal with it and keep your mouth shut. There's not a whole lot you can do besides just quit the game, but that's probably not the best thing to do. What are some interesting ways you have introduced a quest or quest line to your players? Pass. There are lots of different ways that I've introduced it. Nothing extraordinarily interesting comes to my mind right now. How should I deal with a large number of players? 9 of them. Kick half of them out of your group and play with the other 5. Don't do that. Large groups of players are hard to deal with, dude. Squeaky agrees. Pacing is a big thing. You got to keep stuff. You got to keep pacing going. You got to try as much as possible not to have people in side conversations, which are distracting, and then they miss out on what's going on, and then they're asking questions and they don't know, and it slows things down. The biggest thing, most of the time, the biggest thing when you're dealing with that many players is everything takes a whole lot longer, and the game consequently can be a whole lot more boring because of the slow, tedious pace of having that many players. And so when I'm running a large group like that, which doesn't happen very often intentionally, I have my eye on pacing and how we can keep things moving as quickly as possible. When I've run big groups like that before, decision making, it can be the worst part. When you have 9 people trying to make a decision and decide what to do, like, it can be very, very rough. So occasionally, as a dungeon master running that, if I have a couple people saying that they're going to go do something, I'll just say, okay, the group goes over here to do X thing. You know,
So you that's just an example, but sometimes you got to take you got to help corral them a little bit, you know. Otherwise you could just have absolute chaos. Combat, you gotta keep combat snappy. They gotta tell you what they're doing right away on their turn. You can't sit there and look through their spell book when it's their turn. You should have been doing that when all of the other 8 people were taking their turns in combat. So yeah, the pacing is the biggest thing, and you just gotta look at ways to keep the pacing up. Oh, this is funny. Next question. Advice for a new DM with a very small party. About 2 PCs. Adjust your encounters for 2 PCs. That's one way to do it. Next, you could allow them to have hireling. You could allow each of the players to run 2 PCs if they want to. If they feel comfortable doing that. If they're capable of doing that. If their brains don't melt down. Because not all players... Some players, bless their hearts, can barely run 1 PC, let alone 2 PCs. So know your players' capabilities before you offer them the opportunity to run 2 PCs, is all I got to say. As a dungeon master, I'm accustomed to doing lots of things and running lots of things. So 2 PCs is nothing to me. It's just like, okay, boom, 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 boom. As long as I know them reasonably well enough, you know. Some folks aren't going to be able to handle that. Some folks can barely decide what their monk's going to do on their turn, let alone what the monk and then their wizard is going to do. My inclination would be to probably just adjust the encounters down for 2 players. What advice would you give to DMs with younger players in the game? That implies that there are adult plus younger players. I run a group. One of my groups is my youngling campaign, and I started running this game for these kids when they were about 12 years old, and we've been running the game now for, I want to say, about 3 or 4 years, something like that. I can't remember exactly, maybe 3 years. And they're all about 15. Are they about 15 now? I think they're about 15 now. Something tells me they're like 14 or 15, something like that. And when I was first running it for them when they were like 12, I ran my normal games. I did not change the way that I run my games just because they were young kids. I ran the exact same game that I would run for adults. Now, when I run the game for adults, I don't have like sexual content and other sorts of horse crap in my games. I don't do that anyway. And so I didn't need to like extract that from my games because I was running it for kids, you know? But I just ran my normal games for them. I think the biggest thing that I changed a little bit for the kids was I had more magic items and loot drop in the game. I gave them a bunch more than I would normally give to adult players. And my intention with doing that was just increase the amount of fun they're having. Oh, we're getting these cool magic items. Whee! You know, I think that was the biggest thing. I just gave them a little bit more loot. But that's really the only change I made. I did not run like kid adventures, you know, like, I don't know, sanitized adventures that were like kid friendly with like, I don't know, unicorns and ponies or something. I don't know. They were fighting zombies and a necromancer. They wanted to murder them all. Like they were playing D&D, like real hardcore D&D. I didn't do anything special for them, and they all seemed to enjoy it a lot and kept coming back. So
I got all the super chats, Dan. I'm all caught up. I'm out of coffee though. Ryan Kim, what's up? How you doing, buddy? Douglas says, hello, I like to customize miniatures and have a project of a hanging tree with zombies. Is it too dark? And what? No, not for D&D, dude. It sounds pretty fun to me. It sounds like a good monster to put in a game to me. If a PC true polymorphs into a creature with legendary actions, resistances, and lair actions, would you let them use them?
I don't know. Let's go to D&D Beyond and let's take a look at True Polymorph and see what that says. Presumably, it's going to tell us all that sort of information. If this description isn't like a mile long, you can turn into an object into a creature into an object, creature into a creature. If you turn a creature into another kind of creature, the new form can be any kind you choose, whose challenge rating is equal to or less than the target's. All right. The game statistics, including mental ability scores, are replaced by the statistics of the new form. Got it. It assumes the hit points. Got it. So it doesn't really... okay. Oh, look at this. The creature is limited in the actions it can perform by the nature of its new form and can't speak, cast spells, or take any other action that requires hands or speech unless the new form is capable of such actions. Oh, that doesn't really... okay, so it doesn't seem like it actually addresses your question. So let me go back to your question. It would definitely get resistances. Everything in the stat block it would have. Legendary actions, I would be inclined to say that it gets the legendary actions too. Lair actions, that's probably a no, because it's not actually in a lair. It's not its lair. It just true polymorphed into a creature, unless it goes and creates a lair. If it literally goes somewhere and makes a lair, like a cave or something, or wherever it would make a lair, then it would probably make sense to have lair actions, but that's usually not what's going to happen. Probably not what's going to happen. I would be inclined to say that, yeah, it gets all that crap. But you got to be of the right level to be able to true polymorph into something that has legendary actions and lair actions, and that's usually pretty high level. I'm out of coffee. I'm gonna get some more coffee. I'm gonna leave you with my cats while I get coffee. Mommy cat is gonna supervise the stream. Oh, she ran away. By the way, as a reminder, we have a giveaway going on tonight. Dan or another moderator, could you drop a link to our giveaway, please? We are giving away some of these awesome tactical tokens right here. These are my favorite miniature alternative. I use these when I go to conventions and stuff like that because I do not want to lug around my miniatures. I love my miniatures, but I don't usually take them to conventions with me. So we're going to be giving away 20 of these things to somebody. So sign up for that. The secret word is fighter. You need to enter fighter in. That's a chonky cat. Which cat? Oh, we got a couple cats coming on screen. Well, this is Orange. The one you see in the foreground is Orange. And he's a little bit overweight. Yeah. Orange. What's up, Orange? He's a big guy. The cat with the gray fur and funny ears is Mommy Cat. Yes, that's Mommy Cat. Yeah, Orange is adorable. He's a big, adorable lump. Yeah. Please only use #question for legitimate questions. Yes, please. Dan has a big wrench for a reason. Is dropping an ancient red dragon on your players at level 8 too late? What do you mean too late? An ancient red dragon is pretty powerful. If anything, that's too early. Unless you're going to allow them to get out of that situation through like diplomacy or something else. Because they're not going to be able to defeat it. Well, wait a second. Level 8. Let us go take a look at this. Could a group of players defeat an ancient red dragon at level 8? Let us see. Let's pretend that we have 5 players. They're level 8. And they're going to fight an ancient red dragon.
Ancient red dragon. So the deadly threshold is 10,000 XP for a group of level 8s, and a red dragon has an adjusted XP threshold of 62,000. So no, I would say they would probably die if they were to fight that. If they were to fight the red dragon. But there's nothing to say they had to fight it. They might talk their way out of it or something, you know? In a homebrew setting, how would you recommend dividing time between main plot, subplots, and world reactions to player actions consequences without overwhelming players with quests? Matthew, my man, you asked me like the great question. I totally overwhelm my players with quests. There are a couple of my groups where it is a running joke, like especially my Curse of Strahd group. They have about 5 different things that they could do. They're just like, well, we could go talk to the Mad Mage. Well, we could go do this. We could do this. Oh, the winery. We got to go take care of the winery. And then we heard about, oh, now we've heard about this, like, this place up in the mountains we could go take a look at. I rather enjoy, in certain groups, not all of them, I rather enjoy giving a variety of plot hooks for things and stuff that they could go do. But I'm pretty good at anticipating what my players are actually going to do. I know that they're going to be like, well, you know, we could go do the winery, but this quest is right here in town, so we should do it first. I just know they're going to do that. You know, I can just anticipate that. So I give them lots of different things. So to answer your question specifically though, so generally speaking, I do have a main plot. The subplots would be similar to my character arcs that I will run for my characters. And then there are world reactions, things that happen, you know, they do something really dumb and then some consequences happen and then something comes of it and they got to deal with that. So yeah, there could be definitely 3 different types of quests that could happen in the world that you would go on. And what's the proper balance for that? I don't know if there is a proper balance for that. I kind of feel like you should go where the fun takes you. Perhaps your main quest is getting a little bit boring at the moment. Maybe you as a dungeon master aren't feeling it. Maybe your players are getting a little bored with it and they're just like, well, then maybe that's a great time for a character quest, a character arc, where, you know, one of your characters has this thing happen and from his backstory or something important to him, and he needs to go take care of it. But of course, it's a group game, so the whole group's gonna go along and help him take care of whatever business he's got to take care of. And then you could have fun with that for a couple quests or something. And then maybe there's some consequences. Maybe they ignored this main quest line for long enough that something horrible happened, and now you have a world reaction consequences thing that's happening as a result. An entire town was destroyed and blah 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 blah, whatever. You know, I would almost ping pong between those at whatever pace and style feels right to you, what feels like fun to you. I don't think there's a right answer for what that balance is going to be. If you really like your main plot line though, your main story arc, then obviously you want to go back to that from time to time so that that can keep progressing, you know? What is the best way to keep the pacing not be very slow? Make crap happen. Don't let your players set the pace. Like, what do I mean by that? Players tend to take they have a tendency to take a long time to do things. Make decisions on stuff. You got to put a little pressure on them to make decisions. Combat, make decisions. If you let players set the pace, sometimes nothing will happen. Sometimes you got to put a little pressure on them and help to speed things up. I just recently released a video about making combat faster. I released that video this week, actually.
Combat is routine. There are two places in a D&D game where things can feel slow. The first one is in combat. So keeping combat faster, increasing the pace there. I made a video this week on that. The other place that pacing can lag down and get slow is when players are collectively making a decision as a group outside of combat. And I made a video recently about that, about players not being able to decide and giving some suggestions about helping players make decisions faster. So there you go. Go watch a couple of videos I made. I'm just like, just go watch the videos. Actually, there's so much good information in those. It'll go over everything very quickly because most of my videos are shortish. I rarely go on for 40 minutes on one topic. How do you counter a group building an army with a conversation with the players? Hey guys, D&D is assuming that you as a dungeon master don't want to run a game that has large armies, you can just go to them and be like, hey guys, you know what? I know this is an out of character conversation that the dungeon master has with the players. Hey guys, you know, I know you guys are all like making this army and stuff, but I really don't want to run a game with armies in it. You know, like honestly, the core rules of D&D don't work very well with armies. And if you're having armies that are going on the adventures for you and doing the adventures, then all you guys are really going to be doing is dealing with the logistics of building armies and maintaining armies. Is that the game you really want to play? Because I don't know that I'm really, as a person, as a dungeon master, really interested in running that game. Like, and then your players might be like, oh yeah, that's maybe what we do is we build the armies and then they're just in the background. We still go on adventures as a small group, which is what D&D was made for. We still go on those adventures and do these things, so you can still run a normal D&D game. These armies that we're building, they're in the backdrop. We will spend a little bit of time directing them, and we'll narratively describe what happens in a small amount of game time. But for the most part, the game that we're going to play is the traditional D&D game where we are going on adventures and stuff like that. So I feel like the solution there is to have a conversation with them and just express how you're feeling. Like, I don't know that I want to run this type of game for you. Is this the type of game that you guys really want to play? Or are your intentions different? So yeah, and just talk it out. I personally don't want to run an army building game of D&D. If I were going, if like that's D&D is not the right game system for that. If you want to run a game where you're building armies and directing armies, I'm sure there are other RPGs that deal exactly with that. And you could probably go play a different game if that's what you really want to do. And the game mechanics are probably built into the game that support that gameplay, making it far more enjoyable than if you try to do army building with the D&D rules. The D&D rules are not made for army building. Unless you're handling it narratively, which is a totally different thing. You'd have to get a third-party supplement that gives you more rules for building and running armies. But then you're not kind of playing D&D anymore. You're playing something else. I don't know. Yeah, the army could be a downtime activity. It totally could. How should I deal with a player that just keeps trying to be OP? I had a player like this once. So my player who always wanted to be OP, it wasn't just min-maxing. There's min-maxing, and then there's power gaming. Not only are you trying to build this amazingly powerful character, but then in the game, you're arguing with the dungeon master, trying to get every little bit of extra power and the rulings going in your favor. You're cheating on your dice rolls and stuff like that. Yeah, I've been there. I've had a player like that. At the end of the day, he got kicked out of the group. But before that happened, there were conversations with him, you know, about his behavior and stuff, and how it was negatively affecting the game group, and how other players were complaining about it, how I didn't like it. So, you know, you talk with them, you give them, here's the thing. The biggest question is what that player is doing actually causing a problem in your game? Is it causing a problem, and how is it causing a problem? Because that's the conversation you have with that player. Like there could be a player that's building powerful characters. I have tons of players. Many of my players love building characters that are powerful. That's part of the game. Like, players like to build characters that are powerful, kick butt, because that makes them feel like heroes. That's the game. We can escape from our normal life for a few hours of having bosses that yell at us and treat us like crap, getting crappy paychecks, not being able to pay the bills, or having arguments, having teenagers that would fight with us and won't whatever, you know what I mean? Like, we can escape that reality for a few hours on the weekend and play heroes that are awesome, that kick butt, you know, that just let us escape a little bit from the realities of life into this fantasy world where we can have fun and be amazing. So there's nothing wrong with building powerful characters and wanting to be heroes. The thing is that there's a point, though, where that desire starts to become a problem for the gaming group. When the player goes a little bit too far in their desire to be like the most powerful build ever. You know what I mean? Like the broken build. I'm running every broken build. If there's a broken build out there that I can find on Reddit, I'm gonna run it. That is when you're like, okay, now we need to talk about this. There's a problem here. This has now become a problem. This is no longer just you wanting to be a hero. This is you wanting to become more than that, grasp for every advantage you can get, find all of these broken builds, do all of these things. And then what is the problem that's causing for the game table? Because at some point it begins to cause a problem for the game. It begins to cause a problem for the other players. It begins to cause a problem for the dungeon master. And when that begins to cause a problem for folks, that's when you have to have that conversation. And you say, look, this is your desire, these things, that your behavior is having these effects. And this is not good, right? We don't want these effects. And so we need to talk about your behavior and have a conversation. When you do this, it causes this. We don't like this. So, you know, what's going on here? Can we not do this? Like, what does this look like? Like, what does the future path look like with you being part of this gaming group, but everybody being happy and having fun together? Because right now it's not working, you know, and having that conversation and seeing if they're willing to change things to be a more productive member of the group, or however you want to word it. But at the end of the day, it's a conversation of how you deal with that player. All right. How do you deal with how to deal with players being unable to figure out a puzzle? If you ever played the Last Wish raid from Destiny 2, nope, no idea. Which is the problem with puzzles, right? Which is the problem with puzzles. What do you do when your gaming group comes to the puzzle and they can't figure it out? Well, if you give them hints, is it still a puzzle? It's like if I put a puzzle in a game and my players were unable to solve it, if I were to start giving them hints, they would know immediately Luke's giving us hints. Like, how are you not gonna make it obvious that you're giving them hints? The moment that you're giving them hints, is it really a puzzle? Like puzzles will often have hints built into them. That's kind of the nature of a puzzle. Like, here's a puzzle, you got to figure it out. Part of figuring it out is already having some clues that would help you put two and two together and figure that puzzle out. So if the clues either aren't enough or your players just aren't quick enough to figure it out, then am I just gonna like, okay, now I'm gonna give you more clues and more hints and stuff? It's like, okay, you know, at what point am I just giving you the answer, you know? So that's like the problem with puzzles. I would almost say that, like, I don't think that first of all, I don't use puzzles very often. Let's be clear on that. I don't feel that I'm particularly good at making puzzles. I'm not very creative in the puzzle department, so I don't use them very often. But when I have used puzzles, solving the puzzle is optional. I don't put puzzles in places where if the players can't solve it, it's a dead end and the game cannot progress. So my suggestion is, if you're going to use a puzzle, put it in a place where it's optional. Maybe the puzzle will, if they solve it, avoid a trap that will do damage to them. But if they don't solve it, well, they take damage. But it doesn't stop them. It doesn't prevent them from going any further. So puzzles should be optional, whereas failure to solve a puzzle does not result in failure to progress in the game. So that would be my suggestion with puzzles. Optional. They're not dead ends. If you can't, like, you know, if you can't figure the puzzle out, well, you failed the quest. You can't go any further in the dungeon. Oh, shucks. Because you then, as a dungeon master, will have painted yourself into a corner. It's like, okay, well, if they can't figure the puzzle out, they can't finish the dungeon. And that's not good. So I guess I gotta give them hints. I guess I gotta help them. I don't wanna put myself in that position where I have to help them with the puzzle. It's like, if you can do it, great. If you can't, oh well. So yeah, I would, don't paint yourself into a corner would be my suggestion. But that has to deal with how you design the puzzle and what the purpose of the puzzle is. How do you get players to look for a secret room? You don't get players to look for a secret room. Like, the secret room is a secret room because you don't want them to find it. Like, the people who designed the secret room don't want the players to find it. They don't want anybody to find it. It's a secret room. It's supposed to be secret for a reason. So, when I would say that, like, most of the time, when I design secret rooms in my dungeons, there are no clues or hints that a secret room is there. There's nothing obvious. There's no flavor text. There's no description. There is nothing really there that's going to hint to them that, oh, there's a secret room here. You should look for a secret room. Because there really shouldn't be. If somebody has a secret room and they're trying to hide it, there really should be nothing obvious. So it's going to be upon the players to think to look for a secret room from time to time. Or if they explore the entire castle or whatever, and they're like, well, we didn't find the treasure vault. Where's the treasure vault? Well, we didn't look for secret doors, did we? Okay, let's go look for secret doors. So I think for the, and I am pretty accustomed, by the way, to my players not finding secret rooms. It's pretty, like, it happens probably about half the time or more that I will design a secret room and the players never find it. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. Here's the thing. If you're going to put a secret room in there, you as the dungeon master have to be okay with the idea that your players may never find it. They might miss out on whatever's in that secret room. You have to be okay with that. It's like, you have to, it's what we call, like, I think in writing, killing your darlings. You know, sometimes we have these things that we're just like, oh, I love it so much. I love this. I love what I put in the secret room. Oh, there's so much cool stuff in there. Oh, it's so wonderful. The players have to find it. Like, they have to find it. So if they don't search for a secret door, I need to give them a clue. There's a secret door there. If they have to find it, then make it obvious. The things that are hidden, things that are in secret doors, there needs to be the opportunity for them not to find it. Their choices and their actions need to have consequences in the game. If they don't look for secret doors, they don't find the treasure. My players have missed out on treasure, gold, all number of things because they don't look enough. Now, I usually, though, have players that love exploration and poke around all over the place, and then they'll find those things, and then they are rewarded for getting the things because they poked around and they looked for things. If you want your players to explore more, if you want your players to interact with the environment more, then you have to reward them for that behavior. And part of the reward of that behavior is they find things like secret doors. But if you wanted to make a secret door obvious, then you put footprints in blood going up to the secret door, or it's cracked open a little bit, or you allow your players passive perception to find secret doors. If you allow passive perception to find secret doors, you might as well not have any secret doors in the game, because there's always one that's going to be guaranteed to have a pretty high passive perception, thus find every secret door in the game. So that if you use that as a rule, then pretty much secret doors don't exist in the game world, and you can just ignore them for all intents and purposes, which is why I don't have passive. In my games, passive perception does not find secret doors. It does not find traps. You have to intentionally look for those things if you want to find them. Have you ever run big army battles in my games? Yes, and I've done it narratively. I'm running a campaign in January and how the world was reborn after its destruction, and what kind of history would you use to explain that? You're gonna have to figure that on your own. That is your world, that is your game that you are designing. You need to be creative and decide why and how that happened and create that story yourself. If you're designing your own homebrew game world, like this is the type of creativity that you're going to have to use and constantly as you design your game world. So I'm going to put that back on you and say that you need to come up with that idea, that you need to own your answer to that. That's a big, huge world building question that needs to come out of your creativity. What are some puzzles that build trust and teamwork? I don't do puzzles a whole lot. Most puzzles don't build trust or teamwork. Most puzzles, here's what happens with most puzzles. When you put a puzzle in a D&D game, what I've observed when I have used puzzle with my players, there's usually one or two players that actually like puzzles, will engage with it and try to solve it. The other three players are like, oh, a puzzle. Hey guys, just let me know when you're done with that, because I don't like puzzles, you know? Like, for instance, when I'm a player, I don't like puzzles. So I remember this one time my buddy Joe was running a game for us, and he had made a puzzle in his game, and the other players were trying to solve the puzzle, and I was mostly just kind of waiting for them. I was just like, okay, whatever. I don't like puzzles, whatever. But they weren't solving it. Like, they weren't getting the answer. And so I was like, okay, this is getting boring. At that point, I was like, okay, how's this thing work? I thought about it for a little bit, and then I ended up solving it. It still took me a little bit of time. I'm not like a crazy genius or something. But my point is that, like, I don't like puzzles, so I was mostly just, I didn't care. I was ignoring it until I actually got bored enough where I was like, okay, fine, I'll actually try. And then I helped solve it. You know what I mean? So yeah, puzzles in D&D games usually result in a couple people working together and solving it, and the other people like looking at their phones because they don't like puzzles. It would be my opinion, based on my experience of observing players, what players actually do. How do I give my D&D players common sense, like looking for a trap? Have traps blow up in their faces enough, and then they will start looking for traps. There you go. Crap you not, dude. How many times is something gonna... Oh, we opened the chest up. Ah! Oh, we opened the chest up. Ah! Oh, we opened the... Oh, wait a second. Let's look for traps. Oh, you found a trap. Hey! You know what I mean? It's like, that's how they learn. What's up? What's up, little guy? Little guy. This is little guy. He's a loudmouth. He's adorable though. He's a little guy. He's skinny compared to all my other cats. All my other cats are big tubs. Hey, we should do a cat strike. You guys want to do a cat strike? We should totally do a cat strike. Who has not been on my live streams before with a cat strike? The secret word is fighter. The secret word for the giveaway. We're giving away some of these tactile tokens, by the way. The secret word is giveaway. All right, we need to do a cat strike. I'm sure there are folks on stream that have never seen a cat strike. So we're gonna show them a cat strike tonight. All right, you guys ready for this? I'm actually, oh man. I'm getting low on cats. Oh man. All right, hold on a second. I gotta remember to buy some more of these things. I'm so getting low on these. This is not good. All right, so this is the cat strike right here. And just get ready. Get ready for this. Let's go. Squirty Pie, get down here. Yeah, I know. Squirty Pie. Get your little butt down here. I'm getting very low on these things. I'm almost out. Wow. This is like almost nothing left. Orange, go get some food, Orange. Oh, you only got 3. Orange is off camera, staring at me. Squirty Pie just woke up and is up on a shelf looking down at us. And I don't know where the other cats are, but Orange is slowly making his way on screen. There goes Orange. Look at a little bit. Squirty Pie, come down here. You're gonna miss out. Wow. All right, this is what's gonna happen. I'm gonna go use the bathroom really quick. I'm gonna leave you with the cats. You can just watch the cats. I'll be back in a hot second. So enjoy the cats. Got Orange. Orange is in the box. Oh man. Oh, it might be reggaeton. I really like reggaeton. I like reggaeton, yeah. So it totally could be. They're going for it. the name of the music right now. This is Calor by Looney. That's the name of the song. It's on Epidemic Sounds if you want to try to find it. Yes, I'm back. Little guy goes in the box. All right. More questions. Hey, look at these questions. No, don't end. How do I get my players not to ask every time they enter a room? Say, can I check the walls for secret rooms? Like every single room. The best, I mean, okay, what would I do? Yeah, sure, no problem. Give me a perception check. 15, no secret rooms. All right, what are you guys doing? You go into a different room, right? Can I check for secret rooms? Secret doors? Yeah, give me a perception check. 22, no secret rooms. Just over, how long does that take you? How long does that take you? 15 seconds? 15 seconds, they enter a room. They check for secret doors, it's 15 seconds. Perception check. Boom. Nope. Boom. Nope. Boom. Nope. Boom. Nope. 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 At some point, they're either gonna stop, they're gonna get bored with it, or they're gonna keep on doing it. Either way, it's like it's 15 seconds. It's like nothing. It's a drop in the bucket, you know. If you really want them to stop doing that, you could just be like, you guys, I'm just going to tell you when there's secret rooms. You guys will use passive perception and I'll just tell you when there are secret rooms. You guys, I'll give descriptions of the room that make it obvious that there's a secret door over there. Also, you're going to stop it. I don't think there's a way to stop that behavior, you know, and I'm not going to try necessarily. It's like, that's what they want to do. That's what they've decided to do with their characters. It doesn't take that long, you know? How do you run the spell Find Familiar in your games? Because the spell feels really strong for a level 1 spell. I use Find Familiar exactly as it's written. I've never really had a problem with Find Familiar being too powerful. Yeah, I've never had a problem with it. It's a level 1 spell. Yeah, it is. What seems too powerful about it? Like, why does it seem too powerful? They cast it. It takes an hour to cast. It has like 1 hit point. It's very easily killed. It can't do any damage. It can do some scouting. It can scout things out. And it can use the help action. Those are the 2 most powerful things it can do. Scout ahead, get information, possibly get not be detected, and then use the help action. Those are its most powerful powers. Scouting ahead is solved by doors. A familiar can't open a door. You know, they just can't. They're not big enough. Can't do it. So that solves that problem. Assuming we're running location-based adventures in dungeons, in cave complexes, in castles, wherever it happens to be, doors solves that problem. The help action, admittedly, is a pretty powerful action. However, I will say this: if you got a dude that's in a fight and there is a bat that is constantly in my face, because let's think about this. If your familiar is a bat and you haven't used the help action to give somebody else advantage on their attack against me, from a role-playing perspective, what is that bat doing to give somebody else advantage to attack me. It's somehow distracting me. It's getting in my face. It's flapping around. It's dropping turds on me. I don't know. It's doing something that I don't like, which is causing that other person to get advantage on their attacks against me. Don't you think that if this bat is constantly bugging the crap out of me, I'm just gonna be like, okay, it's dead. Problem solved, right? Eventually, somebody's just gonna decide to kill that little familiar and get it over. And because this person is being way more effective in combat with this little familiar bothering the crap out of me. So let me just kill that. There we go. Now we move on with our lives. Takes an hour to cast, so it's not coming back anytime soon to bother me. Area of effect spells. Don't forget, when a fireball goes off, that familiar is immediately dead. A shatter goes off. A thunder wave goes off. Any number of things. That familiar is toast. Complete toast. So don't forget about that. So like because of things like this that I'm mentioning, I've never had a problem with familiars. I've never really found them to be super overpowered or anything. Kill all familiars. Well, that's interesting. Psionics. They've been available in previous editions. Do you ever incorporate them into your games? If so, how do you incorporate them in games? Yeah. Yes, I use psionics. Essentially, the way that I treat psionics is they are, in effect, magic. So anything that works against magic works against psionics. So if a creature has spell resistances, that also means psionic resistances. And that rule right there pretty much solves everything. I can have a Mind Flayer use psionic magic, but it works the same way that normal magic it works. I believe in 3.5 and other editions when they had psionics, like it bypassed like spell resistances and stuff because it's psionics. Oh, it's fancy. Oh, it's mind powers. But then you gotta like, creatures are just like have this massive vulnerability to something that is basically spell casting, just using the powers of the mind. So I just have it essentially work the same way as magic. And then that solves any conceivable problem is solved. Then you're like, well then Luke, it's not special anymore. It's not overpowered. Yeah, exactly. It's not overpowered. Exactly what I'm going for. I put it on the same level playing field that all other magic users have. That's exactly what I'm going for. I really want to eat the rest of this semita. Oh, I have a super chat. Kyle, 32 minutes ago. Hey Kyle, hope you're still here. I'm just now seeing your super chat. What up, dude? Running a first session soon. Went full craft and mini. So I think that means that you have miniatures. You think it's okay for a bit of Railroad to hook 4 players that may have only a passing interest? What do you mean only have a passing interest in what? Like, this is like the classic definition. So like, I feel like I have to talk about what a railroad actually is. I feel like railroad is improperly defined all the time. A railroad is not when there is an adventure to be done and the dungeon master delivers a plot hook and the players go on that adventure. That's not railroading. That's D&D. That's like the majority of games. A dungeon master says, hey, there's an adventure over here. I'm gonna have an NPC tell you about it. And the players are gonna be like, okay, let's go on this adventure. That's not a railroad. That's the game. That's how most people run the game. It's okay. It's okay to design an adventure that the players go on. There's nothing wrong with that. A railroad is when there's only one possible solution to that adventure. Well, here's the thing. The only way to defeat the king is to find that special sword, and then you gotta slip that special sword into his ribcage at the right place, or it can be an unimaginable thing. But for instance, if you lack the experience and put a castle made out of wood in your game, and then your players burn it down, which is exactly what they're going to do to anything made out of wood, then a railroad is saying, oh, well, it doesn't work. Can't burn that castle down. Okay, fine. We're gonna go climb over the walls. Well, you can't climb over the walls. The walls are very high and they're very slippery. Okay, we're gonna tunnel under the castle walls. Well, you can't tunnel under the castle walls because the ground is made out of rock. Yeah. Okay, we're gonna remember those giant eagles we made friends with just a little bit ago? We're gonna go talk to them and we're gonna get a ride on them so they can swoop us down inside that castle. Well, actually, you know, you can't, they've left. They've moved their nests to some other place. Well, okay, well, there's no way into the castle. Oh, no, there's a battering ram right over there. All you gotta do is just batter down the gates. That's how you get into the castle. That's a railroad. When you're forcing them, there's only one thing they can do, and any other idea, any other creative idea they have for accomplishing an objective, it's shut down by the dungeon master. That's railroading. That's the definition of railroading. Having a set adventure that they should go on is not railroading. That's the game. My cat is all worked up. He's like running back and forth, man. Yes, send help. You have already heard this conversation because I explained this many times on many of my streams. Because there is a massive misconception out there about what railroading actually is. You get all of these people on Reddit who are like, oh, sandbox, ooh. And we like romanticize this idea of a sandbox where nothing is made in advance and the players can go do whatever they want. And the dungeon master's open game world where anything is possible and the players can go do anything. And this idea is like talked about and romanticized on places like Reddit. And most games that are like that, like, probably suck because the players, they don't know what to do and they're just wandering around randomly and the dungeon master's making crap up on the fly and it's not very good. You know, like, I'm sure there are games like that that are great. And there are dungeon masters that can run games like that, but the majority of them probably aren't that great. What happens is because platforms like Reddit, people are hunting karma, you know, and because it's the internet, people are trying to make themselves all seem more important and better than they actually are, to make themselves feel self-important, to stroke their own egos. They're gonna tell stories. When there is a common thread where sandboxing is the way to go, sandboxing is awesome, then you're gonna have everybody jumping on the bandwagon saying, oh yeah, sandbox, wee! And then they're gonna be villainizing what we call railroads, which in my opinion aren't actually railroads. They villainize that and everybody gets all down about it and all angry about it, you know? And like, at the end of the day, it's just all stupidity. It's all just people on the internet being dumb, you know? And they probably don't even play D&D. They probably go on Reddit and spend all their time talking about D&D on Reddit, and they probably don't even play the game. Because a lot of people who are playing the game don't have time to go on Reddit and talk about the game. We got jobs, we got stuff we're doing, and the free time that we do have, we're playing the game. We're not on Reddit talking about the game and posting long, pithy comments to get karma, you know, and stuff. Oh, that was great. Gotta get that out of my system. I don't even know what the question was. What was the question? Does anybody remember what the question was? Oh, I don't even know what we're talking about. I hope that answer helped. The question derailed into railroads. It totally did. I don't even know what the original question was. What was the original question? Does anybody remember what the original question was? Anybody? People are dumb on the internet. Surprise Pikachu face. I know, right? Yeah. What do you want? My cat down here. Oh, the question was the super chat. Okay, well, let's go back to that. Is it okay for a bit of a railroad to hook 4 players that may have been yes. Just do it, dude. Go ahead. It's fine. If they complain, send them after me. My cat. What do you want? He wants attention. Little guy, look at him. He's gonna roll. He always does this. Hold on a second. I'm gonna give you an up close view of little guy. Little guy. He likes to roll. He's my little guy. How do you deal with a long break if you have had any? I'm taking like a 1 month break. As a dungeon master, you're taking like a 1 month break. How do you deal with that? Well, probably play video games, relax a bit, do other things that I've been sacrificing, that I've been wanting to do. But other than that, nothing. I just, D&D is on hiatus for 1 month. I'm not gonna, there's nothing to be dealt with. Hey, players, we're taking a break. I'm gonna take a 1 month break. I need a break for whatever reason. It doesn't matter. That's it. I don't think there's anything to deal with. Just communicate. Make sure you communicate to your players. Explain to them why you want to take a break. Be honest and just be like, hey guys, I'm a little burnt out. Whatever. It doesn't matter what your reasons are. Just communicate with your players. Let them know this is why you're doing it, that you fully intend to start up once again, and get a date that you're going to play when you come back, you know, and it's cool. That's all you really need to do, really. What is your biggest D&D pet peeve? I mean, there's the whole "that's what my character would do" thing. There's always that. Players who play the game for 2 years and don't learn how the rules work and still don't know how to the rules work. That's annoying. That's really annoying. I don't know. There aren't power gamers. I really don't like power gamers. There aren't a whole lot of things that really get on my nerves with player behavior. You know, like when I am a player and somebody else is DMing, there are lots of things that get on my nerves. But when I am a dungeon master, I have a pretty heavy, like wide berth of tolerance for a variety of players and player types and styles and stuff like that. Like there aren't a whole lot of things that get on my nerves as a player for players, you know. Oh, arguing with me about rules. Arguing with me about rules is probably the fastest way to piss me off. I'll have a conversation with you. If you feel differently about a rule, I'm okay. Let's talk about it. Let's have a conversation. But once I've decided this is the way it's going to be, drop it. Because we want to play the game. We do not want to wait for you to look up what Jeremy Crawford has to say or a Reddit post. Like the conversation needs to end so that we can play the game. So like we'll have a conversation and we'll talk about it like adults, and I'll consider what you have to say, and then I'll make a decision. And once the decision is made, let's move on. Taking it farther than that, that's where it's like, okay, now I'm getting upset. Like now we got a problem here. So that is something that gets on my nerves. When will you be streaming Apex Legends? I don't know that I'm actually going to stream that. I have been playing it, Dan. I downloaded Apex Legends. Was it yesterday or the day before? I forget what it was, but I played it last night. I played it a couple times today. So I've been practicing. I now know a couple things. I'm not quite as useless as I once was. I'm still mostly useless. I was like, I was in a winning team yesterday last night I was on a winning team that actually won. And I was looking at the stats afterward, and like I think I actually had a couple. Did I have any kills? No, I didn't have any kills. The other two players had like thousands of points or something, and I had 15 points. Like, I did nothing at all to help them. They totally carried me the whole way. I was just doing the best I could to follow them on the map, pick up weapons, and make sure I had ammo that goes with the weapon that I wanted to have, charge up my shields, you know, crawl toward them when I was dying, you know, that sort of thing. That was like the best I could do. Yes. Yeah, their backs were very sore. You won in the same sense that a familiar wins a combat encounter. Yeah, totally. On rules arguments being a pet peeve, does that include rules discussions in between sessions on the campaign Discord? That's a little different. Well, if there's a discussion and you say, this is my ruling, period, end of story, then it needs to stop. You're the dungeon master. You're going to make a ruling. They need to respect that. You know, I try to be as fair as possible in my rulings. Ask my players, like, we have conversations about these things. I want to know what they think and how they feel. And ideally, I'm going to make a ruling that we all agree is okay, that works. But there are some times where I'm just like, no, that's not going to work. That's not happening. Like, I had a player, he wanted to be able to find invisible creatures by just throwing flour out and stuff, you know? And it's like, come on, really? Like, if it were that easy, everybody in the game world would just carry around a little bit of flour or something to throw it out. You know what I mean? If it's that easy, then what's the point of having magic, you know? Sometimes players want to, like, overreach things, you know what I mean? So sometimes I have to make a ruling where it's like, no, that doesn't work. The answer is no. I don't like that sort of ruling. Like, I would rather say yes or yes, but occasionally you gotta say no. Sometimes you have a player who's just trying to do too much and you're just like, no, that doesn't work. No, that's not gonna work, you know? I'm running a 1 to 20 campaign. They discovered the plot. I'm glad they discovered the plot. If they hadn't discovered the plot, that would be that'd be rough. Going after it, things are great, cool. But we have a power-hungry warlock whose patron is kind of big bad. I'm worrying about the PvP and other stuff. Just say there's no PvP. That's it. Literally, you just say, guys. I literally tell my players this. I say, in my games, we do not have PvP. So there's no attacking each other. There's no stealing from each other. There's no doing anything that is against your party. My expectation is that you will all create characters who want to work together and will not backstab each other. I don't care how you need to justify that through your backstory, through your character traits. That's up to you. I don't care. But in my games, there's no PvP. Period. End of story. It is a rule that I have in my games. It is designed to minimize the probability of players actually getting pissed off at each other and causing problems for the game, and then folks leaving the game or just having that tension there. Okay, that rule is there to make the game better for everybody. So I just don't allow PvP. If you were constructing a sort of large dungeon with progressive levels of danger, how would you create the wandering monsters table? Would you maybe add a modifier to the encounter rule? I would probably just have multiple tables based upon levels, like, you know, or area. I would probably, if the dungeon gets progressively harder in certain areas, then I would just make up separate wandering tables that are indicative of the increased difficulty of an area. That's how I would do it. Is it bad to kill a loved NPC? Faye, it's not bad. Like, if your characters love an NPC and the NPC dies, you kill the NPC, it's not bad. You know, players probably won't like it. I would say, here's the thing. If combat's going down, and they have that NPC there helping them, and the NPC gets attacked and dies, that's life. That's life. That is Dungeons and Dragons. That is combat. That's what can happen. That, all bets are off. If you're taking an NPC into combat with you, all bets are off, because death is a possibility. I'm not going to save their bacon just because you love them. Oh, we love Gary the intern. We don't want him to die. I don't care. If he goes into combat with you, death is a possibility. Period. End of story. Now, the other way that an NPC could die is off camera or out of combat, where you, as a dungeon master, decide that I'm going to kill the NPC. That case, I would say there's nothing wrong with it, but I would say that you need to have a very clear reason and purpose for doing it. And it should be a purpose and reason that is meant to improve the gameplay in some way for your characters. Like, if you're going to kill a beloved NPC, then have it be for a good purpose and a good reason. Let it be building up to a future payoff where the game will get better as a result. So you might have some sort of plot device that you're working on or something. I don't know. Make it worth it though. Don't just do it because you're just like, then yeah, that might be bad. That might be evil. What do you do when one of your players knows more about the setting than you do and they keep using the lore to argue your calls? I would probably approach that head on. I would say, hey dude, I recognize that you know this setting better than I do. I do not appreciate that you are using your knowledge against me and undermining me or undermining me as a dungeon master. I do not appreciate that. Will you please stop? There you go. Head on conversation, label the behavior, explain why it's causing a problem, and then ask them to stop. Conflict resolution 101. That's how I would probably approach that. The other option, if you're not quite as brave, is to say, hey, you know what? You think you know this setting, but the Eberron that I am running is an iteration of the actual Eberron. It is a shadow. It is a mirror. I forked it. I took it off and I made it my own. So all of this lore that you think you know, forget about it. My game world's different. Mine is a different version of it. I've changed some things. So therefore, my calls are always legitimate and valid because you, sir, are using out of character information. You are metagaming and you're using information that is not valid because I have forked my campaign setting and it is now something very different. That is another option you can take. I would probably just go head on and be like, yo, I know what you're doing. You need to stop, please. I don't appreciate it. An ability I have reads, spend a hit dice to make an automatic ranged critical hit. Okay. Do I need to roll to hit first? And then on a hit, I can spend the hit die to use the ability? I don't know. I'd have to read the whole thing. What ability is that? I don't know what that is. Without reading it, without reading the actual ability. Yeah, what class is that from? Evan, if you're still here, what class is that from, dude? Are you still on, buddy? What is the name of that class feature? I can look it up on D&D Beyond. If you're still here and you can tell me what that is, I can look it up on D&D Beyond. Okay, Evan, what is it? Type it. Let me know what it is, dude. I'm gonna look it up. I want to read the whole thing.
If it's homebrew, then it's probably broken. All right. If he gets back to us, somebody moderator yell at me so I can see it. Yeah. Raphael. Let's go, Evan. One job, man. One job. Okay. It is from Adventures in Middle Earth, a 5e variant. Then I'd have to see the whole text. I can't give you an answer really. It sounds like what I would probably say is you have to hit first, and then if you spend a hit die, you can turn it into a critical. That would probably be my ruling, having not read the actual text. That's what I would say. Lego Bro says, do you recommend nerfing some monsters for first level encounters to minimize the chance of one-hit kills for party members? Dan's add-on rant time. Yes. Yes. That's perfectly fine. If you don't only want to be fighting like kobolds and goblins at first level, and you're going to be fighting a different monster, say a bugbear, right? That is probably going to kill a first level party pretty easily, then you nerf it a little bit. He has a wounded leg. He pulled his hamstring. His left arm is broken and in a cast. I don't know. Be creative. He's blind. You know, something. Be creative. He was cursed by the shaman of his tribe, and now he has disadvantage on attack rolls. I don't know, but yes, it's perfectly fine to do something like that so that they can fight a cooler monster than the stuff you normally find at level 1. Yeah, nothing wrong with that at all. I have a player who refuses to learn the game mechanics. How can I motivate them to learn? You poke fun at them at the game table. You just chide them a little bit, you know? I mean, in a friendly, nice way. But what are you gonna do? Like, what are you gonna do? You know, you're gonna punish them? You're gonna be like, all right, if you don't learn how this works, you can't play anymore. It's like some people they just don't care that much, you know? They're there to just have fun and relax and hang out with friends. They don't want to read the rule books. They don't want to learn how this stuff works. They just don't care, you know? So what are you gonna do? Like, you know, I had a player like this that was the same way. She played with us for a couple years and barely knew the rules, you know, because she wasn't there to play the game. She was there to hang out with her friends, with other people. You know, she's what we would call probably like a casual player or something, or a social player, somebody who just shows up for the social environment, you know, and she didn't learn things. She never really knew things. I would just poke fun at her every so often, you know. How long have you been playing with us? 2 years? Yeah, but just a little bit, not enough to make her feel like self-conscious or feel like I was being mean to her, for sure, because that's not cool, you know. But I didn't do a whole lot. I mostly just accepted her for who she was, and this is who she is. This is her as a player. You know, she doesn't want to learn the rules. She doesn't really care. She just wants to hang out. Okay, well, let me give her what she wants. She wants to hang out with us and have fun and relax. Okay, that's cool. You know, but that's it. I mean, I'm not gonna do a whole lot. What am I gonna do? You know, be a taskmaster, be some sort of jerk. You know, that doesn't sound like fun. I don't want to do that, you know? I have a player that has been kind of forced by the others to be the leader, and he doesn't want it. He wanted to be a support role. How do I fix this? Hey guys, John, I know you guys all kind of are wanting John to be your leader. John doesn't want to be your leader. Would somebody else be willing to be the leader? Okay, Tim, great. Oh, Alexa. Okay, great. Alexa. Oh crap. Did I just activate people's Google crap? Sorry, that was not intentional. That's it.
Just call it out, address it, and be like, yo, he doesn't want to do it. Can somebody else do it? You might get a volunteer. It's cool. And you move on. What should I do if, because of a character's backstory, one of my players wants to kill a key NPC who is immortal and extremely powerful? Let them try. Let them try. That will be their goal over the course of the adventure. Your campaign. So they're immortal and then super powerful. Okay. Well, then you're going to have to get to level 20 to get some level of power that's going to give you a hope and a prayer against this powerful person that you want to kill. All right. Well, now guess what? That character now has an incentive to go on adventures and level up and gain power and stuff. They have a driving purpose for what they do. And along the way, during their downtimes, they might be researching and finding information about this person, how to find them, where they are, if they have any weaknesses and things like that. But this is the sort of goal that will consume their adventuring. It will take the span of their adventuring career to accomplish. They're not going to do that at level 2 or level 3 or level 5 or level 10. And I would be upfront with the player and tell them pretty much exactly what I just told you. Like this, this is a powerful personage. Maybe when you're level 20, you and the rest of the group can go try to take them out. But in the meantime, you need to get more powerful, and you could use downtime to get information about them and just talk to them about that. That sounds perfectly legitimate and fine to me. Squad says, I have a player I need to ask to leave my game. Any advice on how to do this diplomatically? Yeah. So, you probably, like, the best way, the preferable way is probably to have a face-to-face conversation with the dude. If you can. And you want to basically say, look it. Well, first of all, here's the thing. There's probably a behavior. My assumption is there is a behavior that this person is exhibiting that is causing a problem for the gaming group. And you, because of this problem, I'm making the assumption they have a problem behavior. And then I'm also making the assumption that you've already talked to them about it. If you haven't already talked to them about it, you need to get your butt over there and talk to them about it. And see if you can talk to them about that problem behavior and get them to change. That's the first step. There's no kicking people out when you haven't attempted to talk to them about that problem. That's the thing. You need to step out and talk to them about whatever that problem is and see if they're willing to change. If you haven't already done that, that's your first step. But let's assume that you have spoken with them, maybe a couple times even, and they're still exhibiting that same behavior that is a problem for you as a dungeon master and for your other players, that is ruining the fun, that is making the group undesirable. For whatever reason, they're not changing. You've had the conversation. It's time for them to go. Then you have another conversation where you say, look, there's this problem behavior. We've talked about it before. It's continuing. It's ongoing. It is causing problems in the gaming group. It's causing problems with me as a dungeon master. It's causing problems with other players. These are the problems that it's causing. It's clear from already having spoken with you and seeing things continuing to go as the way they are, that you are not willing to change this behavior. And so because of that, like, you're not going to be able to play with us anymore. We can't have you in the group. You are being disruptive. You're causing problems because of this thing. And this is not going to work. It doesn't work for me. It doesn't work for the other players. So the best thing here is for you to go find a different group where that behavior is okay for them. But it's not okay in our group. I've tried working with you, and you're not changing. So I don't know what else to do. It's time for us to part ways, dude. It is what it is. Like, this isn't going to work. It's not going to work. And boom, you're done. You know, Go for it. Go right to the point. Yeah, Goliath Cleric says that is exactly why playing with people outside your friend group is ideal. Yep, because you cannot have that conversation with a friend and expect the friendship to be unaffected. Guarantee you, your friendship will almost assuredly be affected in some way or another. You might lose a friend over that conversation. It would take a very mature person, a very big person, to have that conversation. A friend, it would take a really very mature friend for you to kick out of your gaming group to not be pissed and possibly in the friendship. Like, there are very few people probably that would actually not just be like, okay, screw you, and then walk. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's yeah. Have I ever ran a high level campaign? Yes. We were level 20. And I had a level 17 campaign that we got up to level 17 too. So yeah, I've definitely run high level campaigns. Did I enjoy it? Yes and no. I enjoyed it in so much that I was able to use all of these really cool monsters with high challenge ratings that you normally don't get to use in your game. So it's really fun to be able to be like, yeah, CR25 Demon Lord, baby, what up? So that's fun. That's fun. The part that's not fun is players' characters get very powerful. Very, very powerful. And there are some abilities that are difficult to deal with. I actually didn't have, I don't think I actually had too much of a problem though. When we were at level 17 and we were at level 20, I didn't really, that wasn't that big of a deal. There weren't things that I couldn't adjust for. I was able to adjust for different things as I discovered them. As a player got a new spell and started using it, I was like, whoa, I was able to learn and adjust, you know, so it wasn't too big of a deal. That would probably be the downside, is having to handle the new power level and stuff like that. Wasn't too big of a deal for me. I would say overall, I enjoyed it. Yes, I enjoyed it. But by the time we had run high levels for a little while, I was also very ready to go back to level 1 and level up again. So, you know, it wasn't like I enjoyed it, but it wasn't like I loved it so much that I wanted to stay there forever either. I was very happy to go back and start Curse of Strahd, for instance, or whatever other game I ran. You accidentally polymorphed one of your players into a fish and his wife is really upset. What should I do? That sucks. Tell the wife to make you brownies and you'll turn him back. That's what I would do. I'm probably being very serious too right now. Oh, brownies are so good. I want a brownie. Is it reasonable to try to create a 1 to 20 campaign with a single main story arc? Or is a single arc not enough material? You could definitely do it. But I would argue that might get boring. I feel like if you're going to level 20, when I went to level 20, did we have one story arc? No, we didn't even have one story arc. When I for the group that went to level 20 most recently, there was a story arc that got them to like level 10 or 12, and then other stuff started happening that took them the rest of the way to level 20. So my story arc wasn't even that long. It was just like half of their levels. And then there were like side quests, there were character arcs that were going on. There was other things that were going on as well. It's not that you couldn't do it. You could definitely go from level 1 to 20 on a single story arc. You for sure could. I didn't. I think it's more interesting to have smaller ones, perhaps. personal taste. I would probably get bored with the same thing, and players might too. I don't know. We're gonna go to 9. We're just going to 9. Going to 9 tonight, which is like 20 minutes from now. I have a player who hogs. Wow, this is a loud chair. I have a player who hogs time by talking in circles, destroys key NPCs and items because that's my character. Usa. We talked about it, but he slips back the next day. Any tips for this? Yeah, talk about it again. If he keeps on doing it, kick his butt out. I don't know. Like, what do you want to do? Look. Problem player. If you have the conversation and they keep doing the same thing, you have to ask yourself, how big a deal is it? Is it that bad that I have to kick them out? Or am I gonna just live with it? Am I gonna suck it up and live with it? Look, I've had players that have little tiny problems and things that I don't like, but not every problem is cause to like remove them from the group. If they're not going to change, then you just deal with it. You live with it. Not everything is a showstopper. You know, it depends on how impactful that problem is for your group. It might be a minor annoyance, but not that big of a deal. Then you live with it. If you've talked to them about the problem and they keep on doing it, you have to decide how big of a deal it is. If it's not that big of a deal, you just put up with it. If it's a big, huge friggin' deal, then you might have to ask them to leave the group. Those are really your only options after conversation has taken place. How do you encourage the party to interact with NPCs in character? Another question. By example, I will interact in character. I will be in character when I talk with the PCs. So instead of me saying the barbarian tells you that there is a beholder over there, I will say, hey, you guys, there's a beholder over there. You might want to be careful. So instead of using third person, the barbarian tells you, I will say, or instead of saying my character or my NPC tells you, I will just speak in character. Hey, you guys, there's a barbarian over there. So I will set the example. That's the big way. Beyond that, I think it's important to recognize that not everybody wants to do that. Not all of your players want to do that. Not all of your players care to do that. Not all of your players feel comfortable to do that. Not all of your players think that that's fun. They might not want to do that, might not be a fun part of the game for them. If you were to try to force them to do that, you would be forcing them to do something that they just don't want to do that's not fun for them. So I would be there's a difference between encouraging them to do it, you know. If you have a new player that just doesn't know how to play the game, you might instruct them, give them some ideas and say, hey, you know, a lot of times we do this thing in D&D called talking in character, where I will literally pretend to be the character and I will speak as though I were the character and give them an example. And you'll see me do this a lot of times in our game. But if it's a veteran that just doesn't want to do it, dude, like, you know, their fun is their fun. I'm not going to force them to speak in character. They just don't want to. Okay, that's cool. I'm going to set the example, but I'm not going to force them to do something that they don't want to. But setting the example is probably the biggest way you can encourage them to speak in character. When they see you doing it, when they see, especially if you use different voices, when they see you using funny special voices, then they're going to feel a little bit more comfortable. Like, oh, this is normal around here. We all just do this. Oh, okay, cool. My players want an evil campaign. How should I go about making this campaign? And what are some things I need to watch out for? So my approach for an evil campaign is no different at all than my approach for a good aligned campaign. There are some basic requirements. First of all of your characters must have a reason to stay together as an adventuring party because I run group games. 2, you must have a reason to be an adventurer and go on adventures, because you guys are all evil characters. You are still an adventuring party. There will still be missions and adventures for you to go on. I'm going to give you plot hooks. You go on adventures. The makeup of the game is still the same. We're still going to have the same sort of game. And there is no PvP. I don't care that you're chaotic evil. I don't care. I just don't care. We're not doing PvP because that ruins people's game experiences sometimes, and it can get people upset outside the game table. So we're not going to do that. So my approach to an evil campaign would not be very different than a good aligned campaign. It just wouldn't. It'd be very similar. I do feel it's fair to note, important to note, that I've only run an evil campaign once before. So it's not the normal thing for me to do. I feel like that's an important thing to note, because I am not super experienced with evil campaigns. I'm not the best voice actor. How do I get better NPC voices? You practice. Turn on radio stations like NPR. They often have people on there that speak in different ways. Try to practice and imitate them. Go on YouTube and look up people that speak differently than you do and try to imitate them. Practice, practice, practice. Driving in your car, in your bathroom, blah, 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 whatever. Practice. That's how you do it. Listen to other people, try to imitate them, and then keep practicing. This is from a dude. I'm not a voice actor, yo. I'm just a dude, right? So the best answer you can get on how to be a better voice actor is going to come from a voice actor, obviously, and I'm not that person. This is just my thoughts on it, such as they are. Oh, Fred wants to do a cat trip. All right, Fred. Thank you for the $5 super chat too, by the way. I appreciate that. So this is the cat trip, by the way. Y'all are like, what's the cat trip? This is the cat trip right here. Oh yeah, we got some chonkers down here. I'm out of coffee. All right, I'm gonna get a couple toys. Get a couple of their toys, and then we're going to get these guys all hopped up. And I have another one. Gotta give them 2. There we go. The seeds of anarchy and chaos have been laid. All right, I am gonna go, while you guys watch these guys, I'm gonna go bio real quick. I'll be right back. Wow. Oh my goodness. Orange. Look at orange. Oh. Let's just watch this the rest of the time, cats. Oh my goodness. Did you guys see Orange's bald belly? Did you see his big bald belly? He's so adorable. All right. How do you keep players from trying to rest too frequently? Consequences. If you try to rest in the middle of a dungeon, there are problems with that. The enemies are going to find you. They're going to put an ambush on you. They're going to gather lots of their reinforcements. They're going to attack you in mass. Like, there are going to be consequences when you try to take a long rest, and, you know, this is why I run location-based adventures in dungeons, in castles, in buildings, etc. Because then you can have bunches of enemies in there, and if they try to take a long rest, it's very easy for you to imagine consequences. If all of your adventures are basically just travel someplace and one encounter happens, travel someplace, one encounter happens, of course they're going to take long rests all the time. And you can't stop that, and it makes sense for them to do so because you're designing your game in such a way that encourages long resting. You need to design your adventures in ways that discourage long resting in between every encounter. I have a couple in my game. They both have Asperger's. They're nice, but some games they will make everything about the two of them only. I've spoken to them, but nothing changes. Any advice? I'm not super familiar with Asperger's, in all honesty. I'm gonna look that up. I'm gonna Google that really quick. Can't spell. Burgers. I'm not sure what that is, in all honesty. It is a neurodevelopmental disorder characterized by significant difficulties in social interaction and nonverbal communication, along with restricted and repetitive patterns of behavior and interests. Okay, so difficulties with social interaction. I don't know what to tell you, dude. They have a condition, man. Like, what are you gonna do? And you know, it might, I don't know how this stuff works, in all honesty. That might be something that's outside of their ability to control. I really don't know how that whole thing works. I honestly have no advice for you. I don't know what to tell you. Because it's like, it's who they are, dude. It's part of who they are. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know if there's anything that really you can do about that, dude. Sorry, I don't have an answer for you. Have you played basic D&D? I think I have. But I'm not totally sure. It's that those early editions, like, it's hard to tell what was what. You know, because they have the nomenclature is so bad. Like, nowadays we have 2nd edition, 3.5, 4th edition, 5th edition. Back in the day, it was like they had all these weird names and stuff, and none of it. I can't keep track of what was what. You know? Oh, the giveaway. Oh yeah, we got to do the giveaway. All right, we're gonna do the giveaway now. Drop a link to the giveaway, if you would. I'm gonna give people, if you want to win some of these tokens, jump into the giveaway. And the secret word is fighter. So go ahead and hook yourself up, enter the giveaway really quick, and then I'll draw a winner to that. I'm going to give you just a couple minutes to enter it if you haven't already, and then we will draw a winner to that. Goliath cleric. Yeah, dude. Yeah, it's a difficult question. You're very welcome. I'm just not. I'm not experienced enough with that to really give you a good answer. You know. So sorry. That lies outside of my realm of experience and expertise, and so I feel like I could easily give you bad advice that would lead you the wrong way, and so I will opt to not opine. You know what I'm saying? Especially about something like that I feel is pretty, you know, pretty heavy, important, etc. Whatever. All right, I'm gonna pull up the screen. We're about to do the giveaway now. My cats are getting all hopped up on catnip. It's beautiful. Where is this? Where is the giveaway? Where's the giveaway thing? Here we go. All right. Yeah, the cats are awesome. That's Squirty Pie right there. All right, you guys ready for this? Here we go. Whee! Drawing a winner. Oh, no way. All right, the winner is Kyle O. Kyle O. Are you with us, sir? Might still be here. It's entry number 50, which I think just happened a little bit ago. So Kyle, my man, you won. I will be sending you an email. I just got jumped. Did you guys see that? Holy crap. Squeaky just totally ambushed, whooped the crap out of Squirty Pie. Oh, that was awesome. Anyway, Kyle, I'll send you an email, dude, and we'll get your address and I'll send these tokens to you, man. That was awesome. Squeaky attack. That was totally a squeaky attack. Yeah. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are finished here. That is going to wrap up our live stream for the evening. I stream over on Twitch Monday, Wednesday, Friday, so you can catch me over there. Moderator, drop a Twitch link in the chat, please, if you would. So if I know there were tons of questions, I didn't get them all answered. I apologize. I can only do so much. But you can come over to my Twitch streams anytime, drop some questions, and I answer questions over there too. So there you go. I'm only gonna be on YouTube every so often nowadays. Mostly I'm gonna be over on Twitch. So if you want live streams, Twitch is the place for the live streams. Yeah. Thank you, Seth. Have a good one, buddy. Appreciate it, guys. Yeah, Dylan. Yeah, glad to have you here, buddy. Amber says, I feel like Dan is running end credits. Pizza. Oh, pizza sounds so good, Andrew. Totally sounds good. Wow. All right, folks, I'm pulling the plug now. I'll see you next time. Thanks for hanging out. It's been fun. I so want pizza. Dan, look at Dan, you're spamming everything. Dan has become the spammer. Dan has become the spammer.